What's up, everybody? Whole family is here on a Friday. We're all chilling. We got the baby here. I have the day off. Chelsea has the first part of the day off. She's about to be taken off for work. So it's kind of a weird weekday beginning for us. We're all here. I mean, it's very rare. Uh, Feels like a Saturday in some weird way, but there's no college football on the damn TV, so I mean, it's not complete. It's not complete, but it does not matter because that is coming tomorrow. And unlike the Mississippi State game where it was extremely early, we're gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to wait until later on for LSU Arkansas. It's coming once again. LSU Arkansas in the belly of the beast. They're in Tiger Stadium. These games have a way of becoming extremely wild, extremely off script. It's all right, buddy. It's all right. He doesn't like it going off script, do you? You don't want Arkansas to be testing LSU hunts, Age. Neither do I. I think LSU can easily dispatch of Arkansas. Here's why. Arkansas are at a very tender, to quote my band Ween, they're in a tender situation right here. Okay. Tender situation, tender spot, where they're not really sure where this offense is going. They're not really sure what they're doing as a staff. They're committing 13 and a half penalties a game, which is an absolute joke. You've seen our first part. If you haven't, we will post a link for that as well for you to check out, because that's really where we go into all of this. This is just going to be the prediction part of it. So really, if you want to see us break down the game, want to see us break down the numbers, which we actually, I think, did a pretty good job of in the first one. I like that preview. I felt good with that preview when we posted it. I think you'll dig it. Let's put that link there in the comments right here. But if you want to see us be breaking it down like that, we'll do some of that. But I really want to predict this thing. I really want to kind of look into this thing. Hey, buddy, what's up? So we're going to post that in the comments right now. And we're also going to obviously post that in the description of the damn thing, of course. Hey, buddy. He's flying through the air. But yes, we'll post that in the description, because I think that's a must if you really want to see us break down this game. That's something that we did as well, and we thought that was a balls to the wall preview as well. So let's try and do that again. Let me put that in the description real quick. Boom, LSU, Arkansas preview part 1. All right. Well, it's going to be KJ Jefferson, unlike last season, where LSU didn't know if we were going to be facing KJ Jefferson or not clear until like an hour before that game, 2 hours before that game, when word started to trickle out that, KJ Jefferson's probably not going to be healthy for this game. Well, now we're going to have to face him. Big physical, someone who has really pushed LSU to the limit. In 2020, he had a good game. We still got the win, but he had a good game in that. From what I remember, was absolutely trucking guys, was running guys over in the middle of the field and making that diving touchdown score. We don't want any of that shit happening again. Nothing. None of that. Can't happen. Can't happen again. But that's the thing, is that big physical, and he's going to have to run the ball a lot against us, because Rocket Sanders, from what we're seeing, what we're hearing, he will not be available for this game. Rocket Sanders will not be available for this game for Arkansas. So what does that mean? Well, I think it's a fantastic thing for LSU's defense. Not having to deal with him, but here's the thing: we cannot sleep on AJ Green. He has 190 yards, a couple touchdowns. We broke all this down in the first preview. That's why you've definitely got to watch it, because we really went all in on what's going down with these teams. But here's the thing: Arkansas, very beatable. Everything is going our way here. We have every advantage going into this game against Arkansas. We have every advantage. I mean, we're getting healthier. We're playing with a purpose, with a fire, with what's going on with Greg Brooks Jr. Um, it seems like that was a wake up call against Florida State. It seems like this team offensively aren't even anywhere close to where they could be, and they're still destroying people. They're still sixth in the nation in total yards. So you tell me, is this a game LSU should be winning? Is this a game where you would feel absolutely disgusted if you lost? Tell me, is this a game where LSU, if LSU lose this game, we have two losses and it's not even October. We haven't even played Alabama. We haven't even played Florida. We haven't even played, random games against Ole Miss, gone on the road to Missouri, which could be a possible trap game. Like, we've done none of that yet. We haven't played Texas A&M, who beat the shit out of us last year. We've done none of that. And we would already have two losses. You tell me if that would be an abject failure after, having this taste of what it could be this last Saturday against Mississippi State, because that's how good it could be, and that's how it should be every week. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be 41-14 every week. That's ridiculous. What I'm saying is that's the type of effort, that's the type of intensity, that's the type of desire, that's the type of mentality we need to be seeing every fucking week from this team. There's no excuse. There is no way around that. This is a team who should be absolutely destroying all comers in their way here. I don't see anyone on the schedule who can really push LSU to the brink. I think there's going to be some fluky games. I think there's going to be some games where LSU it's a tight game, for no reason. LSU lets them back in it. LSU screws themselves over. Kind of like what you saw against Florida State. But at the same time, there's going to be teams that are going to be better than us, especially the receivers versus our DBs. Keon Coleman, what he did against us, even the Grambling receivers, what they did against us. You didn't see that as much this last game against Mississippi State, but that's also a weakness for them on their roster. So LSU kind of, the DBs kind of got off the hook last week with having a damn good pass rush. Harold Perkins back at it. And then, Malik Neighbors basically just erasing everyone. Jaden Daniels having a perfect day. So what I'm looking at here going into this Arkansas game is, yes, it could follow the typical formula for these games. It could follow the typical formula where it's knockout, drag out, really grinding, brutal, running up the gut type, throwback stuff. We could see that. But I also think we predicted that for last week against, Mississippi State. We predicted 29-13 LSU would win that game, but it would be a very tough, very brutal type of win. Well, LSU just threw that book into the fire, threw that script into the fire, just erased that type of fucking, any type of hesitancy. Just completely stuck the knife in, the boot to the throat. Just would not let Mississippi State get a second to breathe. The stranglehold was too much, and instantly the riff from Ted Nugent is echoing through my head. So we got to put it on. We got to put Stranglehold on. I don't think this is a song Sage has ever heard, so we got to put some Stranglehold on. That's one of the first riffs I'm gonna teach him on guitar. It's one of the first riffs I learned. But yes, LSU. This is a game LSU could be on from the first second to the last. If they show us anything from last season, last season. My son's distracting me with his crazy voice. Um, Anything from last week against Mississippi State. If LSU can absolutely just show that stranglehold, absolutely squeeze the shit out of Arkansas. Because, yes, Arkansas have a few receivers who've gone over 100 yards this season, a couple touchdowns. They don't have anybody even anywhere near as impressive, anywhere near as dynamic as Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., or many of the receivers they had recently. This is a drop off as well. I think it's Aaron Armstrong, someone like that, who is their leading receiver. Let's look that up real quick. My son's eating and he's just going, sorry. Let's see here. Receiving. One second, gotta say goodbye to the wife. So, how could this game, I want to know how this game could become a knockout, drag out, like fourth quarter tight, 26-23, 24-21 type game. How can that happen? Well, two words: the SEC West. Like, really, the last year of the SEC West. Like, I get it. Arkansas could absolutely play themselves out of this game with penalties, stupid turnovers. Their secondary is completely suspect, like we pointed out in the preview, which is why you got to watch that preview. We pointed out who, why, where LSU can attack. Like, we put names in there. So like, yes, they do have two former Tigers who are standouts on that defense. Landon Jackson, 6 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, national type numbers, and first on the team type numbers. Second in sacks, first in tackles for loss. But can he be handled by Emory Jones, Will Campbell, whichever side they move him up against? I think so. Trajan Jeffcoat, he's always a big name. But I think this offensive line, especially interior-wise, might have the perfect matchup for him. And we told you why that would be the case in the preview, which is why you got to watch that preview, boy, girl, whoever's watching. You got to watch it. Love you, babe. Got to give a second goodbye. It's raining and freezing up in here. It's weird. So yeah, it's been a crazy few days here. It's been raining and weird. Yeah. So I'm really excited for this weekend. Excited for some football. Excited to watch LSU pummel some Arkansas Razorback ass. Huh, buddy. I'm gonna do it with my buddy Sage. We're gonna be watching together. No, I'll be watching alone, or with my dad, or with Daniel Jones, or whoever's willing to come over. Whoever's gonna hang out. We have no problem watching it alone. Like, we'll watch it with Chelsea. We'll watch it with, like, we don't care. Like, we watch the game however we feel is necessary that night, especially if we're doing certain things. Like if we've got this pregame going on, we got a halftime show going on, we got a postgame show. If somebody's not going to really be down to be participating in that, be on it, like I tend to not invite them, or they tend to not want to come. Usually, I don't invite them. I feel bad, not doing that, and I feel bad being more antisocial. It seems when the season begins, because then I kind of like. There's a lot of people who want to watch the games with me, and then I'm like bailing out on them and stuff, and I feel like a dick because I'm doing so much of this. And so I feel like I have made some pretty big sacrifices that kind of I don't even think about. I'm like, this is literally the first time I've even thought about this. I literally have bailed out on watching the games with friends so that I can do this. That's crazy. That's got to stop. I'm going to try and, at least I'm going to involve my friends in this now. If I think a few of them, Daniel especially, would want to be a guest on this show, so I'm going to get him on this damn thing. And we need more voices on here, like Corn Pop, my man right there, Arkansas. Hell yeah, man. The great Les Miles quote. I think this is a game where LSU offensively should be just far more superior than Arkansas from first snap to last. I feel like this is a game where Jaden Daniels is going to have a lot of success through the air once again. I would not be surprised if he threw for 350 or even 400 yards on this secondary. And I'm not kidding. That's 400 yards. That would be his career high passing, I believe, Jaden Daniels. So 400 yards throwing the ball, I believe, is more than possible for Jaden Daniels against this porous secondary. You even saw Dwight McGlothern, their all-SEC former LSU Tiger, who has had 5 interceptions in the last 2 seasons, has an interception already this season. You saw him get neutered at times against BYU. And you saw this ridiculous one-handed catch that is just hard to overcome psychologically when number one on Sports Center, number one anytime anyone brings up Arkansas, anytime I've heard anyone bring up BYU, it's, did you see that one-handed catch? Did you see that game? Did you see that comeback? Arkansas threw that game away twice. Blew 2 double-digit leads in that game. That's a fact I overlooked in the preview. But when I look back at that game, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot that they blew these leads. I didn't watch that full game. I watched probably about 40% of that game, mostly the second half. But from one thing or another, I forgot that they had blown those leads. But I saw how undisciplined this team was. Just bad. This team just don't know what they're doing at times offensively, especially on the offensive line. I'm talking about Arkansas here. The amount of penalties. The amount of penalties was ridiculous. They're averaging 13 and a half per game. 13 and a half per game. 8.5 on the offensive side. They had 14 alone against BYU. So I feel if LSU do not win this game, there will be melting like you haven't seen this season. You thought Florida State was a melt. You haven't seen anything yet. Like, the melting will be absolutely biblical if LSU lose this game to Arkansas. Yeah, I know. You want out. I'll get you out in just a sec, buddy. I'm sorry. He wants out of this chair. Oh, God. Really, this will be biblical if LSU do not seal the deal here, win this game. No matter how it's done, no matter how it's done. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me or you if LSU win this game by 40 or 20 or 2. Just seal the deal, get the win, and move on. Like, really, this that's how this season's going to be. We have the pathway to the national title right in our way, and it's just littered with, what's a good way to say this? Littered with potholes where it's just like one danger after another, littered with mines, like a minefield, littered with, you're driving around on a highway, and every 30 yards, 40 yards, 50 yards, and you don't know where and you don't know when, there's going to be a large cache of nails that it just destroy your tire right then on the spot, put you out of commission in the middle of the desert. Like, that is what the type of gauntlet LSU are on right now. We're driving through the desert. It's night, and it will be morning if you don't get that tire on soon. All of these things, and you have no food. You got very little water. Maybe you're on a drug trip. Maybe you're hanging out with Hunter S. Thompson. Maybe Robert Downey Jr. from 1996 is in the back. Like, there could be a lot of dangerous things going on. And so, how can you avoid all of these caches of nails, these upsets? Mizzou on the road. Ole Miss as well, I think, is another game that can really give us hell. I think there's plenty of games on the schedule that can give us hell, give us that second loss. But none of these teams really should be able to beat us. Huh, Sage? None of these teams should be able to beat us. None of these teams should be able to stop Jaden Daniels. None of these teams should be able to contend with that front seven, really. You're talking about Mekhi Wingo, Mason Smith, Harold Perkins. I mean, are you kidding me? It would be an abject failure for LSU to lose this game against Arkansas. And I don't know where it would go from here, where it would lead to. How big of a loss would, I mean, how much would it derail the season? All that they're going through already, these players, all sorts of distractions. And still, pulling it off game by game by game and delivering for the fans of this team, for LSU, for Greg Brooks Jr. How can you maintain that emotional intensity within control? You want to harness this anger at what's going on to Greg Brooks Jr., this sadness. You want to harness this intensity, this desire to play for him with everything you got. But you don't want to be going so hard and so crazy that you just are playing like a chicken with your head cut off. You can't do it. You can't do it. And so there's got to be stability and control to it for this defense. This defense, you look on paper and it's like that's a top 10 front seven and possibly a bottom 25 secondary. But it could be a top 25 secondary if we find the right pieces here and put them on the field at the same time together. Denver Harris is showing you that he might be that guy at corner. He might be that dude. And I'm not saying he's sealed the deal yet. He got caught for a touchdown against Grambling. Like, he had a pretty bad opening moment there. Pretty good game against Mississippi State, but I mean, let off the hook a lot in that game. Like 2 targets his way. They were both like terrible passes, no pass breakups. Like, we are yet to see him truly tested against the best and how he stands up. We'll see that. We'll see that in moments against Arkansas. Because Andrew Armstrong, 197, 18, 10.9, 3 touchdowns. He's the leading receiver. Luke Hasz, 9 catches, 123. Jadon Wilson. Satanga is the guy that they're going to try and get going in this game. Only 3 touches, 19 yards in 3 games, and they're really upset about that. They want to get him going. You're going to see involved in jet sweep action. You're going to see this guy involved in a lot of motions. They're going to try and put him all over the field, try and confuse LSU's secondary with his movements, and that that alone could free up Hasz and Armstrong. So they're Arkansas aren't above burning LSU in this game with what we've seen from our DBs. And I know we kind of had a get right game last week, but I'm not banking on that until I see consistency. That's what this game is about. That is what this game is about against Arkansas. Building consistency game to game to game to game against all of these, these potholes in the road, these nails, the mines in the field. Everything coming up, the dangers that lie along this path to a national championship. They're terrifying in a lot of respects because LSU could throw away a chance at a national championship that we might not get back for a while. Think about how the SEC is going to get stronger, get better. I mean, Saban won't be able to tolerate what's going to happen this season. He's going to be more driven than ever before if our Alabama lose 3 or 4 games, or he'll maybe likely retire, and that takes Alabama out of the equation. But guess who's coming into the conference to make things really interesting, to really make things very, very confusing for everyone? Oklahoma and Texas. So this thing's going to get crazier. It's going to get wilder. LSU have had both those teams' numbers in big games. So I'm not really afraid of Oklahoma and Texas. It's really Oklahoma and Texas' effect on everyone else. And it's also the schedule, LSU being moved out of only SEC West opponents and a shuffling of the SEC East guys. This is going to be playing Georgia more. Yes. I'll get you out. Just a second. Yeah. Drink that, buddy. Drink that. Wet your whistle. So with that, I mean, this is a game where LSU need to start that run. I feel like, yes, Mississippi State, you maybe started the run, whatever. I really believe this is like week 0 here, and you've got to just like start all over and just like forget that you broke records last week and just like continue what you just did. Like just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. Don't get too big of a head. Don't fly too high. Just keep beating teams. And I don't care by what scores, but really, LSU should be scoring over 40 points in this game against Arkansas. There, I said it. And they probably won't, because look at the history of these games. Very low scoring. I mean, not incredibly low, but they're usually like 28, 24, 21, 19, that type of stuff. 23, 26, outside of, I think, 2011 and 2019, when those, I believe, were huge blowouts. But in 2007, Scorefest in 2007 that went to triple overtime on Black Friday. That was a crazy game. So for me, when I'm looking at making a prediction for this game, I think it's going to be LSU. One second, cliffhanger. I got to get my son out of this chair. He's going nuts. Sounds like he's taking a shit. Thank you for bearing with me. I probably lost a few viewers while doing that, but my son comes first, as yours does for you. If you have one or a daughter or whatever, here he's wanting to come and join. We've been trying to get a lot better at that, trying to get the schedule more tighter so we're not having him around, but we figured we could do this while he was around. Of course, he's been the reason we haven't really been able to write so much this last week, or really more our time management. But we still put out a few big time articles. If you want to go check them out on LSUODYSSEY.com, they are there for your reading enjoyment. I mean, he even has affected me cosmetically in some ways with his madness, his violence. Yeah. Well, he will hit you. Not that he knows what he's doing, but he will clobber you. And certain things will hurt more than you thought they would when a baby's. Like, that's a baby's hand. How could that actually hurt? Well, he just knows just where to hit. But when I'm predicting this game, you look at LSU Arkansas history, and while it may be in the 20s and the 30s, and it may be lower scoring, it may be, grinded out, this could surprise us just like last week did, where LSU just come right out and are extremely efficient on offense for yet another game, third game in a row, where it's just brutal, swift, vicious offensive attack from point one to the end of this game. Is that what we see? Is that what we're going to be treated to? Can Jaden Daniels continue to deliver passing the football like he just did? I mean, I don't think he even needs to pass. He doesn't have to be perfect every game. Jaden Daniels doesn't. He could throw 3 interceptions and still beat teams with the combination that his passing gives you. When he's passing against teams, then they have to back off, then they have to respect their receivers, and he's got the whole entire damn field to run it. And you saw that last week. 2 touchdowns as well, 64 yards, 15 carries. There were tons of rushing lanes for him. But you also saw this offensive coordinator, Mike Denbrock. I don't agree with some of these play calls, but he's rushing Jaden like right up the gut. I mean, it's a little off tackle, a few of them, but it's most of them are just like right up that damn gut. And I do not like that at all. Dude, what are you doing? I don't like that at all. We just saw Jaden Daniels take another crazy 6 feet in the air type hit. That's like the 4th time something since he's been at LSU where he's taken these karate these meet you in the sky type hits where people are just colliding like it's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Just wild stuff where it's like, how are you avoiding injury here, man? How are you avoiding injury? So we got to protect Jaden Daniels in this game. We've been allowing 23 pressures, 3 sacks, only 2 sacks off of 2022's numbers, and just one fewer pressure. So really, Jaden Daniels is getting hit, sacked, pretty much just as much as he did last year. And remember, that Jared Verse sack was also taken off of the official stats. So that's basically 4 sacks that LSU have allowed. As much as I love my guy Emory Jones, he's allowed 2 sacks. He allowed 2 sacks against Mississippi State officially. And I don't think you can really charge one of those sacks on Emory Jones. That one of those sacks is totally on Lance Hurd. He's the one who looks confused. No matter who comes through what, a part of the line, it's Hurd's assignment, and he misses the assignment. And so sometimes Pro Football Focus's stats, sometimes they get to me because you saw clearly who was the one beaten on the play. You know who was at fault. Even they are like, yeah, I'm at fault in that play. That was what was drawn up. They even will tell me, yeah, that's exactly what we were calling, blah, 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 or this is what we were calling. Let me correct you, blah, blah, blah. Like whatever it is, it usually seems to be at odds with some of Pro Football Focus's stats, and some of them are dead on. But stuff like 2 official pressures for Harold Perkins last week make no sense. I counted at least 3, 4, potentially even 5 from my memory. So it's hard to know if LSU's offensive line are kind of struggling. If we're having a moment here where it's a bit of foreshadowing, where LSU still destroyed Mississippi State, still ran it all over Mississippi State. Now, will you see AJ Green and KJ Jefferson go off on LSU's offensive line, and you see LSU's O line really, really, really get beat up? I don't know about that. I think LSU are solid in the trenches. I think you're going to see LSU's front seven respond to KJ Jefferson and AJ Green. I think you're going to see LSU's offensive line be able to handle Trajan Jeffcoat and Landon Jackson. I think there are going to be plays where they get theirs. I think they're going to have a few sacks, potentially. Outside of that, and maybe a couple hits, I think LSU have an awesome game in the front. I really do. I think LSU are going to have a great game running the football. I think that's going to be what we kind of base tomorrow around offensively. I think they're going to start opening with a heavy diet, Logan Diggs, Josh Williams, and then they're going to, sprinkle on the top those cherries with Caleb Jackson. That's how it's going to go down, and I think you're going to see some brutal exhibitions of otherworldly running back violence from Caleb Jackson. I mean, did you guys see that video of Frank Wilson in the locker room going absolutely berserk, saying can hit somebody. Like, that was incredible. That was epic. That locker room speech. I mean, that's why Frank Wilson is the best. I've seen a few of those type of things in my time, but that was one of the best, and that team needed it right then. That's the type of coaching we need going into this game. The emotions are going to be running high, and the fan base are going to kind of be all emotional for this game. Probably won't be a dry eye in the house with the GB3 stuff going on, the number 3 everywhere, the pageantry of it all. At the same time, these players have known what's going on in this situation from the second half and Thursday night, Friday, in Wednesday, in that area last week. They've known about this for a while. This should not affect them as much as it may affect you or I. So I don't expect the Greg Brooks Jr. stuff to really hurt LSU right now. I really don't. I don't expect their Greg Brooks Jr. stuff to be a distraction. In fact, I believe it will be a motivation, an extreme motivation. How could it not be? So really, if LSU were to go out there and lose this game, there's only a few ways that would happen, in my opinion. One is an injury to Jaden Daniels or Harold Perkins, which would, deflate the team, deflate the staff, really make people kind of like, what just happened? Whoa, recalibrate. Holy shit. That's just a human reaction to your best players going down. Like something terrible, some type of injury like that. This is the only way I could see this game really going Arkansas's way, because I think LSU are just too strong. I think even if Arkansas pushed us to overtime, I think he's getting all excited and crazy because he keeps hearing me talking. I think even if Arkansas push us to overtime, even if they were to push us to overtime, I feel like right then LSU would kind of, okay, turn it on. I mean, there were some very worrying signs against Florida State and sometimes against Grambling, where we looked a step slow, where we looked like we were physically not prepared as well as Florida State. Now it's hard to see where we are, because Mississippi State, are they just that bad? Or are we just that good? I know for a fact Malik Neighbors is just that good. I know for a damn fact Jaden Daniels was putting the ball on the money. It doesn't matter if Charles Woodson was covering Malik Neighbors. Some of these passes were just perfect. Sure, a more active DB, a more like physical DB will play those passes better. But some of these things were almost alien. The accuracy was ridiculous. I mean, it would be impossible for a DB to cover most of those plays. So you'd get at least nine catches instead of 13, which would still win you the game. So against Arkansas, why not go back to Malik Neighbors? Why go, okay, we fed Malik and now we're scared that they might cover him or double team him, so let's go away from him. If they double him, okay, go away from him for a second, kind of show we can hit these other guys and they can make huge plays on you, and we can really make things difficult with Brian Thomas Jr. and Aaron Anderson hopefully having a big game, and Kyron Lacey hopefully catching the football. Those are the type of things you can show, but then go right back to Malik. I don't give a shit if he's double teamed. You've got to continue to feed this guy. He just showed you. He is the game changer on this team. Don't go, okay, you just got your third touchdown and you got your record-breaking game and everyone was talking about it. Now you're good. Because that's what we saw last year in this offense. Was like, okay, they had a big game with 60 rushing yards. Now we don't need them out. It's like 60 rushing yards is a big game. Give that guy the ball more. 55 receiving yards and 1 touchdown in like the first 8 games for some of these guys, like is a joke. It's a joke. Games where Kayshawn had like 40 receiving yards. We've started to go away from that. This offense has had, I think, the offense has had a 100-yard receiver in every single game. Let me look at that. LSU Grambling. I know we did against. Brian Thomas Jr. went for over 100 against Florida State. Went for like 150 or something. And then we did not have a 100-yard receiver against Grambling. Malik only went for 5 for 87. Brian Thomas Jr. 6 for 78 yards, 2 touchdowns. So there were 4 guys that had good performances, but once again, they barely played. We barely got them the ball. I wish that we had just kept those guys in and just kind of kept feeding them. Like, who cares? Score 100 points. We needed it. And you saw it not really hurt us with how well we performed passing the football against Mississippi State. At the same time, we've seen Brian Thomas Jr. showcase what he can bring to the table. We've seen Malik Neighbors show that he's not only that number 1 guy. If fed properly, he could win the damn Biletnikoff this year, even over Marvin Harrison Jr. Because LSU would be winning a national championship if Malik Neighbors is sitting there to win the Biletnikoff next to Marvin Harrison Jr. in December in New York. Count on it. LSU would be in the college football playoff with a chance to win the national title. That's where we would be, because that's how damn good Malik Neighbors is. And when you feed a player like him, he's going to take you to the promised land. And this is going to be Malik's last season. You're not going to have this guy anymore. Take advantage of having this guy while you still do. And last week we did. It was like one of the first times I saw us do it outside of the Purdue game, the Georgia game as well, which was just a necessity. We had to finally get him the football. We had to finally get Booty the football, or we had no chance of scoring anything in that game. And finally we did, and they both went for over 135 or something like that and a touchdown. But we cannot have this paltry offense anymore where we're okay with 50 and 60-yard receiving games. I know it's just a stupid statistical talking point, but really think about it. The best teams have 100-yard rushers. They have 100-yard receivers. That's what the best teams do. And the best teams often have multiple. Look at LSU versus Texas 2019. We had three receivers go over 100 yards. Terrace Marshall, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. I mean, I'm not calling for that every game. That's not going to happen every game. But why not try to do it? Why not try to do it? I'm not advocating for LSU to throw the football every single play. Hell, I just told you the game plan for this game should be to run it down Arkansas's throat and own that line of scrimmage. But at some point, you need to cook this secondary with this receiving core and these tight ends, because LSU's offense, LSU's receiving core against these DBs, especially the safeties. By the way, the safeties are really going to be. If Jaden Daniels can manipulate those safeties, like we said in the preview, if he can manipulate those safeties with just a little look off, a little hesitation, a little going through his progressions, if he can do it, there will be hole after hole after hole, crater-sized holes in the back end of that secondary for Jaden Daniels to put the football in. For Jaden Daniels to drop it, a long bomb dime to people like Malik Neighbors, Chris Hilton Jr., Aaron Anderson. So I say call the deep ball early. I think we'll see it early. I think Denbrock, Petzing, Joe Sloan, and Steve Demio, Brad Davis, all these guys, these offensive coaches. What Mike Denbrock has started doing with this team is really building to something I think special. Sixth in the nation in total yards, really finally taking advantage of their weapons. But you've only seen doses of it outside of Malik Neighbors. This is a game where I think it's going to be a game where you're going to see somebody have that breakout that you've been waiting for years to have that breakout game. We've been waiting for years for Chris Hilton to go for like over 100 and a touchdown or something. We have been waiting for years to see someone like Brian Thomas Jr. put up like a 200-yard game, even though he's had some great games. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Florida State actually was a great game for him. Here, buddy, I got to plug this in. So stop fucking with that. Maybe it's time for Brian Thomas Jr. to have a 200-yard game. If they're going to cover Malik, if they're going to double cover him as well, plenty of opportunities. Plenty of opportunities for Jaden Daniels to once again light it up. He is trying to grab this computer like crazy. Dude, it needs to be charged. It's going to become a game now. I think you're going to see LSU's offense run it down their throat early and often, take advantage of their superiority physically along the line of scrimmage. You're going to see good games from some of these guys. Will Campbell, I think everyone giving him shit for last game, I think is ridiculous. People giving him crap for Florida State. People giving him crap. Like, how can you give this dude crap? Like stop it. Didn't even make a single mistake his first few seasons, and he makes he gets a flag and gets taken out of a game for once. How many snaps that he's played, and you're gonna freak out? I just don't understand that. Will Campbell is fine. Will Campbell is a badass, and I think he's pissed off that he's been doubted after what he's shown. So I think you're going to see a hellish performance from him, and I think he'll be damned if he's taken off that field. I don't think he'll allow that to happen. I think Emory Jones is going to have a good game. I think you're going to see potentially a game where we're going to see the real Miles Frazier stand up, whether he's susceptible or whether he's good. And we're going to see if we need Lance Hurd in there. We're going to find that out quick. Here, let's get you some milk. We're going to find that out quick. We're going to find out if we need Lance Hurd in there and we need to pull Miles Frazier out of this game quick. We're going to find that out. And that's really, to me, a very interesting storyline. Is if Landon Jackson and Trajan Jetco and that defensive line, if they can get into that backfield, cause havoc early, what does it cause us to do schematically? Does it cause us to really reshuffle things, put Lance Hurd out there at right tackle while you've got Emory Jones there inside at right guard? What does that do for us in our matchups? What does it do to us with not having Miles Frazier back in there? I mean, you saw us putting Miles Frazier back in and stuff, taking him out. And once he was taken out, everyone got all dramatic and was like, this is the moment. He never is put back in. And then he's put right back in again. God, we've got a damn baby going nuts. We've got a dog going nuts. Shut up, Rivers. Shut up. Shut up. Stop. Jeez. We've got this baby going crazy for this milk. Here you go, buddy. We're trying to analyze game, god damn it. I knew this stream would be like this, and I'm just like, let's just go for it. You know, like, this is just going to be crazy. Me spending 3 hours or even an hour, if that's all it took, writing an article that 20 of you would read and would be viable for 24 to 48 hours seemed like a complete waste of my time. And so that's why we're doing this. And sorry if, you know, you've got a son who's making all this noise and playing all this stuff, but a dog that's barking, but what can we do? You know? What can we do? I guess we could be like some nutcase and, you know, enforce that his mom quits her job and just devotes her time to spending just watching him purely, and that's it. And I think she'll make that decision on her own at some point, to be honest with you. I think she's ready to kind of give up what she's doing, but I don't know. Maybe she's not, you know, and I'm not going to force her either way. I love what she's doing. I love her career and what she's created. I'm very proud of what she's done, and so I'm not going to ever try and screw with that. At the same time, we've made that very evident. We've got to have our time. We've got to have our time to do this. But sometimes we just got to watch our son, you know. And so here he is. Here's the little crazy dude. But I hope it's been an enjoyable watch for you. I really do. I hope it's been entertaining. I hope you've actually learned something. I hope you've gone back and you're going to watch that first preview after you watch this, because if you want stats, if you want numbers, if you want it coherently without baby screaming, without anything, you will have it on that one. That one's got it all. I think that one was actually pretty good. But for me, this game is going to come down to, you know, 1 second before I predict this thing. I actually want to see what what did I predict in the. I'm curious to see what I predicted in my predictions piece that I put out on August 30th. This is a massive article. Of course, we got Florida State wrong. We had 62-6 for Grambling, and they actually did us 10 points better. 29-13 was our prediction for last week. They definitely won up that. I've got us winning 35-17 in the predictions article, And you know what? I think I'm going to stick with that. I think I'm going to stick with that. This is interesting. We've got Aaron Anderson as the offensive MVP on this predictions article with 188 total yards, 5 catches, 1 receiving touchdown, and 165-yard punt return touchdown. Is that even possible at this point with Greg Clayton Jr. totally like sealing up that punt return spot? And from what we've seen, a lack of creativity with getting Aaron Anderson going in this offense. Is that even possible? I thought he had a big chance to be that number 2 guy, and now I'm wondering if that's even possible to put him as the MVP. I don't think that is, sadly. That really sucks because I think Aaron Anderson's a fantastic player, and you've got to figure out a way to use him. I believe we want to win a national championship this season. You've got to find a way to use every one of your dynamic players on offense if you want to beat the best defenses nowadays. I mean, Georgia's got an unbelievable defense, even though they're porous in the secondary. Even though they have a hell-raising front seven, their secondary doesn't look good. I mean, that's the same secondary that we torched last year. Same secondary, basically, that beat Alabama in that national title, too. So, I mean, this is a 2-time national title defense, so we can't really say too much about them and rip on them too much, But at the same time, shit. I really would love to see that game. LSU Georgia SEC title game. LSU 11-1. Georgia, whatever the hell they want to be. I would love for them to be undefeated going into that game because they would be such a big, like, giant will fall type situation. Like how the mighty can fall. Like it would be such a big opportunity for LSU to beat them. Like just the way it would set up, like, oh, there's just too much pressure on them going to the 3P, all of the above. Like it just would not. I don't think it would be very good for them, and I just don't think so. I don't think it would be very good for them. I think we're going to stick with that. LSU, screw that. 35 points against this defense. God, I want to be bold and predict LSU score 40, even 50 on this defense, just because I'm excited with this offense and excited with what could happen. But we got to be realistic here. But at the same time, we're still going to score 38 points on Arkansas. LSU are going to win this game 38-17, in my opinion. That's what I feel. I know we picked 35-17 in the predictions article, which I will also post a link of that for you in the comments section. But we think we'll get one more field goal. So, oh man, I think it will be 38-17. And it's very hard for me to say that Aaron Anderson is going to go off like that because as much as I want it to happen, as much as we predict a 65-yard punt return, I don't know if I can continue to predict that going down. That's as much as I want it to happen. I just don't think he's in that position right now to be that successful for LSU's offense. We're not helping him out, and he hasn't really developed his game. Technically, this is his freshman year. Just look at it as his freshman year, technically. So who is going to be that offensive MVP? With Malik Neighbors being double covered, and I think Malik's going to probably get around 100 yards again anyway and another touchdown. But who I think might have a big game. Mason Taylor. I think Mason Taylor is about to have his first big game of 2023. I think he's going to have 7 catches, 157 yards, and 2 scores, both in the red zone. I think he's going to be that red zone finisher for Jaden Daniels, and I think he's going to finish them off. And I think you're going to see him make some plays after the catch, across the middle of the field this game. I think you're going to see a full, complete performance from Mason Taylor. Whereas last year, you saw like him get the ball for sequences. You saw him get the ball for stretches and moments and little pockets here and there. You didn't see him like continuously fed for like an entire game. I think you're going to see that in this game because LSU are going to need all the starters out there for the whole game until they're kneeling the ball. And then if they want to put Nussmeier out there, they will. But I think you're going to see starters entire game. I think it's not going to really be like a blowout, but just LSU in control type of situation. I think you're going to feel comfortable watching this game. I think you're going to feel at ease watching this game. I think there's going to be some big plays going on. And very interesting who we selected to be the defensive MVP. Well, I mean, this will be shocking. This will be shocking for people. This will be very shocking to people. Who could be an MVP against a team like Arkansas? You know, who on this defense could destroy Arkansas again? We think Harold Perkins is going to haunt Arkansas yet again for 11 total tackles, 2 sacks, meaning he would then have 3 on the season, and he's going to get a forced fumble on one of those plays. He's going to get a strip sack on KJ Jefferson. That ball will be recovered by Jacobian Guillory with a fumble recovery. Jacobian Guillory will recover the fumble stripped by Harold Perkins. Harold Perkins is our defensive MVP with 11 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble. Offensive MVP, Mason Taylor, 7 catches, 157, 2 touchdowns. So, how good is Jaden Daniels going to do? All right, buddy, I'm almost done. We think he's going to go for 305 yards, 41 rushing yards, and be responsible for 4 total touchdowns. We think Logan Diggs will score a rushing score as well. And then, of course, we get a field goal. So, you got Jaden Daniels throwing for 3 passing touchdowns, in our opinion, 1 rushing touchdown, goes for his, what will this be, his 3rd 300-yard passing game of the season out of 4 games, 41 rushing yards. We don't really need to rely on him rushing the ball that much. And LSU are going to win this game. LSU 38, Arkansas 17. And, yep, that is our crazy, wild preview predictions, too. Sorry for the crazy manner in which we filmed this. We are just trying to do what we can. Maybe if you guys don't want this type of content, we just won't go to the trouble. Like if we don't have to have a LSU Arkansas prediction every single week, I'm okay with it. Like if you guys don't want this type of content, that's fine. I understand listening to my baby is kind of awful. There's just sometimes we just can't get out of the situation of having a baby around, and it sucks. It's not that we don't love our little guy. We totally love our little guy. There's no problem with that. We love watching him. It's just there's a time that we need to do this and get to work and stuff, and it's very hard to find that balance. Very hard to find that balance, especially when you love having him around as much as I do. It's like sometimes I forget that you guys are watching this for the LSU content, the LSU info. You're not watching this to delve into my life and the idiosyncrasies of my personality and that type of stuff. So sometimes that gets lost on me, and I apologize for that. And we will try to improve and try and get better and try and have a sageless um, streaming platform on this show for the rest of the season. But I think he was pretty damn well behaved considering I've been on here for pretty much like 45 minutes. He's just been playing and running around, making weird noises. Anyway, you guys all have something better to do. Take it easy. LSU going to kick Arkansas's ass. We're going to win this one for Greg Brooks Jr. I have to post it again. The hashtag. It's going to be an emotional game, emotional atmosphere. But I don't feel like it's going to hurt these players. I feel like it's going to really motivate and push these players over the limit. They're going to take it to the limit. And I really think they're going to win this one for Greg Brooks Jr. I really think it's going to mean even more beating Arkansas. And some of the stuff you've seen from Ryan Clark, from Jimmy Smith, people have gone visiting him. It's terrible. All I can say is pray for 3. And LSU are going to keep this thing going. Kick Arkansas's ass.